Welcome to BSS TV, where today we're going to be looking at the BNVD-40 night vision system from FLIR. We get a lot of questions come into the office about what's the best cheap optic or what's the best cheap air gun that I can buy. And one of the questions we get is what's the best cheap night vision system that I can get my hands on. And the words night vision and cheap don't really go together too well. There are some products on the market that you can buy that come in between 200 and 400 pounds, where you're going to be picking up a monocular that is going to be a Gen 1 unit. And if you want to get into night vision, you can do that, but you're soon going to realize that Gen 1 is not going to be good enough for what you want to do, and you're going to be wanting to look at a Gen 2 Plus or a Gen 3. And when you start thinking like that, the words cheap go out the window. You are going to need to spend some money. And with the BNVD-40s, these are a Gen 2 Plus dual channel handheld or helmet mounted night vision system. They're built for law enforcement, they're built for professional operators, but we're going to be talking about them because a lot of people are using them for airsoft and milsim. Okay, BNVD, that stands for Binocular Night Vision Device. People also refer to these as NODs, Night Observation Device or Night Optical Device. 40 stands for the field of view. It's fairly standard in units like this. The 40 degrees field of view is what you're going to get. If you wanted more, FLIR have recently brought out the 51, which gives you, as it says, 51 degrees field of view, which is 25% more than the 40s. Now, if you're law enforcement, that 25% increase could mean the difference between entering a room and getting a shot away first, or being on the receiving end of something fairly unpleasant. In the world of milsim and airsoft, 40 degrees field of view is going to be absolutely fine. The first thing you notice when you pick the NODs up is just how well built they are. Very strong, very rugged, fully waterproof housing. With these weighing in at just 1.4 pounds, that makes them very easy to carry around for long periods of time if you're using them as binoculars, but it also makes them very comfortable when you mount them to a helmet. Now, you are going to want a counterweight on the back of your helmet just to balance them up. Once you've got these fitted on, if you haven't got a counterweight on the back, they are going to tip forward a bit and dig into your forehead. On the front of this helmet, we've got a Wilcox mount, and on the back of the NODs, we've got a dovetail mount to go onto the helmet. Simply clip them in, and that's your NODs attached. Button on the side brings them down in front of your eyes. They have a dial on each side, which will move those tubes left and right on the horizontal to bring them right in line with your eyes. There's also an adjustment on the mount itself to bring them in and out, depending on how close you want them to your eyes. When you want to move these away from your eye line, you can press the button and they will flip up and are out of the way again. Now, what you can do is you can also move the tubes out and to the side and pull them back like this. This is how I prefer to wear it when I was running it on a night game. The reason for it is I found that once you had them set like this, it seemed to pull the center of gravity back towards the middle of your head, and it didn't want to tip forward a bit. If you have them sat with them folded out like that, it still seemed to be a little bit top heavy, but the counterweight at the back still made it very comfortable. These NODs are packed with cool features, and one of them is the power source. This will run off either a CR123 or a AA battery, and the reason for that is that law enforcement require that devices can take a AA battery. Now, the way it works, because as you can see there's only one compartment that you can put a battery in, is that inside the battery cap there is a metal insert that you can turn around, put it back in the other way, and it will run the opposite of what you were doing. This is set up at the moment to run a CR123. So if I take that out and turn it around, it will now fit a AA battery. What's the advantage of being able to do that? If I run out of CR123 batteries and I need something else and I don't have anything else, what's the easiest battery to get next? AA's. Everybody sells them. Take the insert out, turn it around, cap back on, and you're back in the game. On the front of the NODs, you have the power on and off, the manual gain, and the built-in IR. Once you've turned them on, to activate the IR, you simply pull that button out, very similar to what you would do when you're adjusting a wristwatch, and turn it once more. That will then give you a little red light inside the eyepiece about the 2 o'clock position. You'll see a little red light. That indicates that the IR is on. On the right here, you've got the manual gain. What that does is if you're going from a dark environment into somewhere that's slightly better lit, you can adjust that down so that these tubes aren't grabbing as much light. That is not going to give you as much glare back and damage your own eyes, but also it's not going to damage those tubes. Another cool feature on these is the auto on off. What that is if you're running these, okay, and we have got them down in front of our face, we may come into a room, into a building or somewhere where we don't need nods on anymore. As soon as you flip them up and out of the way, the tubes will auto switch off. Something else that they will do is they will auto on and off individually. So if I'm running them on, I can flip one out of the way. This tube is now off. This one is still running. Now, why would I want to do that? If we've come into an area that is slightly better lit, don't need both nods on, and I might want to switch to using the optics that are on the gun, I can flip one out of the way and my sight eye now is able to look down through the optics. Right at the beginning, I mentioned that there's no real cheap way to get into the world of night vision, especially if you're going to go for a Gen 2 Plus or a Gen 3 unit. If you are going to do that, then the BNVD-40 or the 51 is definitely something that you're going to want to look at. They're incredibly strong, they're rugged, they're waterproof, everything about them screams quality, and when I used them, I was just so impressed. It's really difficult to describe just how good these are. They do come with a price tag, but they are built for professional operators and law enforcement agencies, and we are just fortunate enough that we can also use them in the civilian world. If you want more information about these units, then visit the Scott Country website, scottcountry.co.uk.